Right then, guys. So welcome to the first WNBF UK podcast. My name is Leon Mitchell and I am joined with my co-host, Rob Brown. And today we've got a special guest on today's show because we're kicking off the show in style. We have the one, the only, Josh Croggan. Okay. So, you know, myself, I'm a WNBF Pro, recently turned a pro back in October at the Supernatural show. And today I'm going to be your host alongside Rob. Rob, introduce yourself, my man.
Thanks, Leon. So yeah, I am Rob. I am hopefully in 2023, I'm just going to put it straight out there, joining you in the pro ranks. That's what I'm here along this journey for. But I have been natural bodybuilder since 2018. Started off super young in the teenage division, winning what was back then obviously the WNBF affiliate, the UK DFBA, UK and international, winning that and getting an invite to the Worlds, which I didn't go to, and then also receiving another invite that I couldn't go to, but we won't go into that today. So yeah, I'm here along the representing the amateur side of the WNBF, and nice. I am privileged to be.
Good to have you on board, buddy. So let's get to the main man, Mr. Josh Croggan. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for having me. Just following on from like your guys' intros, I'm also a WNBF Pro. I turned pro at the same show as Leon. Yeah, what were that?
The
7-8 weeks ago. Yeah, like 2 months back. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, October 31st. Yeah, so yeah, turned pro there in the men's physique division. Yeah, then went on to compete on a pro stage at the Worlds. Fair to say, it went pretty well. Came third in my class, which was like way better than what I thought it was going to be. I was aiming for like top 20, but you know, third top 20, you know, very similar. Yeah, that's me. I've been competing for the last 3 years, so since I was 22. Yeah, third year competing in a row, and yeah, really enjoy it, love it, and it's gone very well so far.
Nice.
Yeah, that's me.
So take us back to where your whole bodybuilding journey began, buddy. What got you into bodybuilding, and you know, how did you find yourself kind of moving towards the men's physique division?
So long story short, I used to play football at a young age, well, up until the age of like 16. I did my ACL playing, so kind of then just switched to just kind of keeping fit, keeping healthy, and yeah, ended up kind of putting on quite a lot of size quite quickly. So back in 2019, the guy that was like the manager of the gym that I was training at was like, oh, there's a show in like a month's time. You're pretty lean. If you competed, like if you committed more to like I don't know, like a bodybuilding diet, you could probably get ready for it. So 4 weeks before, entered the show, stepped on stage in the open division at 22-year-old and won in an untested fed. It weren't like a big show. It's not like I went and won a PCA title, but it were big enough. It were like kind of lit the fire for everything that followed. So my first year competing, I did 3 shows, won the first, came fourth in the second, and then came like 6th at the British finals, which, you know, weren't bad. Following year, so we went into lockdown, what were it, March, and then I dead set on competing again in the September. So even in the lockdown sessions, fully committed to it, fully committed to the diet, fully committed to the training. Yeah, competed. I did 3 shows, won them all. So did the PCA UK Open, won that. Did the Two Bros Natural Classic, won the overall at that, and then did UK DFBA Junior Men's Physique, and I won that as well. So again, second year of competing, the fire was very much lit. I wanted to go for my pro card that season, but unfortunately, due to like everything that was going off, there weren't really any pro cards to go for. So that led on to this year, 3rd year of competing in a row. Again, had a pretty decent off season, in and out of lockdowns. Luckily for me, I've got a pretty good facility at home. And then, yeah, kind of went for it. The goal was WNBF Pro, nothing else. And at the first crack, nailed it. Nice. So, yeah.
Man, it sounds like you've had a successful run, especially, you know, coming from a football background, and then obviously just someone just potentially showing you a potential alternative option to kind of still stay committed to a sport. So tell me something. So along your journey, was there any inspirations, you know, any people that you kind of thought, you know what, wow, that person looks great, you know, wouldn't mind, you know, having a similar physique to that? Or was there anyone that you was kind of watching at the time that was competing and you thought, wow, what a run?
So when I was 16, my uncle he used to be a window cleaner, and he came to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you've just got into your training, haven't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, this guy that I'm cleaning his windows like every 2 weeks. He's called Ryan Terry. You should follow him on Instagram."
No way.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'll follow this Ryan Terry. Next thing you know, like he's gone to the Olympia. He placed, what were it, 2nd or 3rd in his first try. And that were it. Like I was like, right, men's physique, that's the one. I've got no legs because of all the operations that I've had. It's perfect. So yeah, that was it for me. I saw his physique and I thought, that's how I want to look. And the rest is history, really.
Oh, nice, man. Well, that's what it's all about. Sometimes I think, you know, a lot of people always connect with someone who, you know, they aspire to, or they see a great run of success, and it kind of gives you that extra motivation to keep pushing during your prep, or, you know, whatever you're working towards. So
100%.
That you use the legend that is Ryan Terry, like, to kind of be your guy, you know what I mean? So talk to me about that first time, obviously, that you done your prep, because obviously you'd never done a prep before and you was going into shows. How did you feel? How did you approach prep life versus normal life?
That first time was like bizarre. I did like a little mini cut to go on holiday to New York, and basically I came home and my mates were like, "Oh yeah, you're still pretty shredded." Like, "Oh, why don't you just enter a show?" And I'm like, nah. So like at that moment, like for that prep, it were very much like low food, no cardio, didn't track steps, didn't do any stairmaster, nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was absolute doddle. But you know, I dieted hard enough. I weren't out of shape at all. I just looked reasonably fit. So yeah, like comparing my first prep to like my most recent one, my first prep for like from start to finish it was 12 weeks, but that's purely because like I did 3 shows. The first show were 4 weeks into the prep. And again, like I won that. Then like I was done. I'm like, nah, that's it. Going to an off season, grow. Had like a week of like 5,000 calories a day. Ended up like back at square one, and then essentially started prep again to do another show. I did the PCA Midlands and placed 4th in like the biggest class that I've ever been in to date. And then ended up doing the British finals. So on that PCA Midlands show, because I'm such a novice, I didn't realise what a junior were. I thought like a junior were like under 16-year-old. So I entered the open against these, like obviously me as a natty, or against these absolute giants. I'm like, what on earth am I doing here? But again, placed 4th because like my natural shape suited the category, suited the class. So having spoke to a few judges there, I thought I did terribly. They were like, no, like it's a bit crazy that you're 24 and you're kind of giving guys that are like, you know, the peak of their game a run for the money. So yeah, just kind of kept snowballing and on to the next. Got my arse handed to me at the British finals, to be expected, but that's what lit the fire for, right, I'm not done. I'm going again. Next time I compete, I'm going to be doing it in a natural federation. It's going to be like a level playing field for myself. And yeah, that's that. First prep was just winged it.
And at what point did you kind of feel, okay, cool, I need to get some specialist help? So at what point did you appoint a coach, or you started to consider, you know, getting someone who can guide you and you just execute?
So my like kind of way with a coach, I only had a coach for this most recent prep, and even then it was like only the last few weeks.
Okay.
So my background, I went to Sheffield Hallam University. I studied sports science, and one of the lecturers at uni was Andrew, who's like, you know, the president of the WNBF.
Mm-hmm.
So like following him on Instagram, and then following like other people, obviously got like AJ Morris, like the Natty Goats. I train at Ultraflex Rotherham, so like Cuba, he's like a big inspiration and big influence on like my training and my life. Just kind of like being around people like that and learning as much off of them. I didn't really necessarily need a coach at that moment in time. I was like literally just getting really good at applying what I was seeing and what I was hearing and conversations that we're having. So yeah, I've never really worked with a coach. All my off seasons have been my own. I am a coach myself, so I know what to look for. I'm really disciplined, so it's coaching myself's not been an issue. My experiences with a coach, I worked with AJ Morris for the last 6 weeks of this year's prep. Obviously went really bloody well, because first crack we went and took that overall at the WNBF UK show.
Very impressive.
So getting my arse handed to me like forced me to level up. In lockdown, in the first lockdown, I got myself a training partner, Jake Brayley. If either of you are aware of Jake, he's a bit of a monster. Natty until a few weeks back. Yeah, Jake's a big old boy. Seriously strong. So just training with him as well, and like almost being competitive with him, forced me to level up. It forced me to kind of get out of that junior mentality and thinking, oh, hold up, I need to level up. I need to act like an adult rather than a junior. Yeah.
I think that's a great shout sometimes when you train your training partners, or you have someone who kind of gives you that extra push and the extra thing like, fuck, I need to wake up, pardon my French. You know what I mean? It could be just training with someone a little bit bigger in a different class, someone who could give you the extra push, or sometimes it's your training environment, right? So a lot of people, I've seen a lot of natties be training in, you know, your commercial gym spaces, not really often in your kind of more bodybuilding type of gyms. So sometimes when you switch your environment, you actually get a bigger push. And you start to realize, oh, wow, I need to put some extra work in, and then you come out on top. So I think that's
100%.
You know, that you find alternative ways to keep pushing. So talk to me about pro life now, buddy. How do you feel that being
pro life,
buddy? Huh?
Pro life, right. So the goal for turning pro, I know that I said earlier that like it was the goal for this year. It weren't the expectation for this year. Obviously, whenever you step on stage, you want to win. But I'm very, very realistic. I'm very aware of how good other guys are. Like, I did 5 shows this year, and the first 3 I came second at. So there's guys that are good, that are like phenomenal. And obviously it depends on the judges on the day. But yeah, my goal originally, and my realistic goal was to turn pro in 2023. So set myself the target of turning pro by 26-year-old. And then obviously achieving that 2 years earlier, it just kind of puts me at an advantage. Like I'm so happy to not compete next year, or maybe take a 2-year off season. If I need a 3-year off season, I need a 3-year off season. But I've got all the time in the world to grow and kind of put myself in the best position for being competitive on a pro stage, on every pro stage, like within the WNBF.
So talk to me about the lead up to that pro show. You know, how was you feeling? You know, on the day, was you anxious to get on stage and just go out there and showcase? Was you a little bit nervous? Because I think a lot of people don't realize sometimes, you know, when you're going into a show and there's a lot at stake, how, you know, the feelings and the emotions that kind of build up as an athlete, you know, before you even step on the stage. And then when you step on stage, you're like, oh, wow, it's time. So how was you feeling?
Oh, mate. I've just been editing the vlog from like pre-show day, and oh my God, I can just see my nerves. Like, I was nervous as hell. Like, oh, crazy. How did I feel? Yeah, very nervous. It weren't the best run up. I think I spoke to you, Rob, about like at the WNBF UK show. Like, I were adamant I weren't going to Vegas. Like, my season were done on the 31st of October, and then that were it.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. You were definitely a bit, you were a bit like, oh, it'd be great to win and get the invite, but I don't. Yeah, you were like, you weren't sure whether you were going to go or not. That fairly changed quickly.
Yes, that changed very quick. I got home, had a conversation with my dad, and he was like, "Right, so have you qualified?" I was like, "Yeah." He went, "Right, well, go book your flights." I was like, "Oh, for God's sake, I've got to prep for another 2 weeks. I've just had like 24 hours of eating whatever I want."
Yeah.
But yeah, preparations it were fine. It's just putting that like curveball of having like a full day travel, and then there were like the added stress of having to do like a PCR before you went. I know Rob's got great experience with doing PCR tests before flying. So yeah, it was just like stress city for like 10 days. Then when we got out to Vegas, I ended up with like a bit of a stomach bug. So before the show, I was like, I couldn't gain weight. I was like losing like a kilo every day. The day before the show, I woke up 2 kilos lighter than the day before. So I was just like, what the hell's going off? Yeah. But it's everything, isn't it? It's drinking different water, different sleep pattern, 100%. Different food. It were all like really good, almost like data for next time I go to a Worlds, like next time I compete abroad, whatever. But yeah, very, very nerve-wracking. Obviously, with it being my first pro show, I weren't sure what the standard were going to be like. I was certain that I was going to get my arse handed to me, but thankfully that weren't the case. I do believe I held my own in my class. Yeah.
Well, buddy, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, don't really know what to expect when you're going to compete abroad, and some of the variables that will kind of affect your prep and potentially how you look on the day. So, I think, it's really hard to kind of gauge, okay, what you're going to look like when you land. Are you going to be retaining any water, etc.? What's the best approach? There's so many variables. But I think if you get out there in time, allow your body to adjust and climatize, because the smallest of things, as you said, like drinking different types of water, different produces, it's just going to just change how you look. But I think if you give yourself enough time ahead, then you better kind of just make the adjustments. But yeah, man, you had a fantastic morning, up on that stage and just rocking that pro stage, man. So now you're a pro. What next, buddy? What next? The question, really, isn't it? I think for me, I love bodybuilding. I'm a coach, like I'm a PT. I live and breathe this stuff. I just want to get involved as much as possible. So like having clients compete, obviously doing things like this. I'll be going to all the shows next year to watch and support people. It's basically just going to be like immersing myself in the kind of like community for the foreseeable. Competitive wise, it'll be 2023 when I compete next. And like we're just on about the variables, then I want to control as many as possible. So like my goal now is to put myself in a position where I can move out to America for a few months before the show. Nice.
Go and do a few of the other pro shows, like the smaller pro shows, get my name out there. Like, one of my key things on feedback was that my posing needs to change. So like I'm used to doing like things how the Americans describe it, the British way. I need to learn how to do it the American way, the world way, because that's going to be like the 1% and 2% that makes a difference. It's like when you are at the top of the top of that tree, it's the smallest things that kind of like dictate placings. And I'm buzzing with third, but as soon as I came off it was like, you've got a physique that could win, that could come second. Yeah. You just need to work on this, and this. And I'm like, they're such minor things. Like, does it matter? And they're like, yeah, everything matters. I was like, okay, right. Well, next time I'm going to make sure that my posing's right. I'm going to make sure that I don't drink any tap water in the hotels. And make sure that, I've got a kettle for hot water rather than having to rely on bloody Starbucks to give me cups of hot water. Yeah.
But I think that's a bit of a golden nugget that they gave you in terms of, changing your approach from the UK style to more the American style. And I think that's really important for athletes when you're, competing in different federations, is just understanding what is actually required of you, not just in your home turf, but then also when you travel abroad as well. Because if you nail that, then you know what they're looking for, and then you can realistically have a better opportunity to place a little bit higher. So that's some great insight from the judges. So what kind of advice do you give to any new athletes, anyone that's kind of considering competing, taking it to that next level or chasing that pro card? Because obviously the WNBF UK have got some fantastic opportunities coming up in 2022. So what would you give to the next generation or those coming through?
These conversations that I'm having a lot at the minute, like, what as a first timer, as a novice, what's the things that you can do? Well, for starters, I'd go and watch a few shows, go and get a vibe for, like, oh, this is a bodybuilding show. This is how long you're on stage. Like, oh, this is where you stand. This is how you do the turns. Like, knowing your left and right when they say, oh, quarter turn to the right, don't turn to the left. Just make sure that this is what you want to do. Because, a prep, I know I was saying that my first prep was 4 weeks. My most recent prep was 26 weeks. So if you're having to prep for that long, you've got to love it. You've got to love it, or you've got to be like disciplined to the high heavens. So yeah, go and immerse yourself in like a bodybuilding show. Take some notes, make sure that the class that you're wanting to do is right for you, right for your physique. Like, obviously I do men's physique because my legs aren't quite good enough. I've got that V taper that is like it's essential in men's physique. Whereas, like, Leon, you're probably not going to do very well in men's physique, mate. Your legs are ginormous. Yeah, so just like make sure that you pick a class, make sure that you know how to pose for that class. I'd definitely get a coach for posing or prepping or even both. Just get as prepared as you possibly can. You can't be too prepared for these things. Yeah, preparation, immerse yourself and enjoy it.
Nice. And are you going to be doing it or popping up to any of the WNBF kind of workshops? I think you should, because you're going to be the natty version of Ryan Terry. So, buddy. So.
Mate, I'm there.
Signing autographs, kissing babies.
Me on it.
Yeah, 100%, buddy. Because I think, everyone's going to be looking up to you, in the natural scene as, pushing it and leading the way forward for men's physique. Because obviously you got the untested guys who are just, some of them are just unrealistic. Whereas what your goals and what you've achieved is much more attainable to anyone trying to get into the sport. So I think, buddy, use your platform to elevate and motivate those that want to become the next men's physique guys.
All of that, mate. Yeah, of course I will. I will.
Well, thanks for coming on the show today, buddy. I don't know, Rob, you got anything else for Josh?
No, not really. I think one thing that I would say is watch Josh's YouTube, because I've been loving it, and it's a really good
Yeah, Josh, give us a plug, buddy. How do we find you on YouTube? How do we find you on social media?
I think your signal's gone a bit, Leon. My YouTube is just my name, so Josh Croggan. My Instagram is also my name, Josh Croggan _. And yeah, through there you can find me. You can, chat to me. I'll reply. If you've got any questions that you want to ask me about like men's physique or posing or prep, anything, just drop me a message. I am more than happy to help.
Okay, there you go, guys. So you can reach out to Josh on his social channels and just, follow his journey to his next pro show. Well, Josh, thanks for coming on the show. As I said, we've just kicked off the first WNBF UK podcast. There's more to follow. So guys, just make sure you like, subscribe, and just share it with your friends, because we need to make this natty scene epic. There's so many of us.
We need to blow it up.
Mate, I'm telling you, I think if anything, last season just echoed just how big the natty scene is. And I think 2022, we're going to just see that even grow even more. And I'm looking forward to, the first timers WNBF, show, and then also the big open international show, which is going to have everyone, which is going to be Supernatural's version 2. So yeah. It's going to be an epic season, guys. Cool. All right then, guys. Well, thanks for coming on today. And that's a wrap. My name's Leon. That's Rob. And that's John.
Josh.
Oh, sugar. Right here.
I love how many
funny.
names you
what
call
the
me.
hell? Josh. My bad.
John Croggan.
Hey, what would a podcast be without any bloopers, guys? What would it be without any bloopers? And network issues.
Yeah, thanks, Liam.
All right, then, guys. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Cheers. Thanks for having me.